Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Slippery People. I'm Liliana Velasquez, and this week we have the artist and Berlin resident, James Coon. Welcome, James.
Thank you. I'm in show business.
Yeah, you certainly are, James. You have been one of the most consistent Sunday slippers since we began.
Yeah.
I normally ask my guests how they found out about Sunday slips, but I'm actually more curious as to how you started in comedy.
Oh, okay. Well, ever since I was a little kid, I always admired comedians, and I thought I'd like to be one. I was watching the old Borscht Belt comics on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I was too young for the Tonight Show in those days, as in the 1950s and early 60s.
Why did they call it the Borscht Belt?
Because there were all these places where the Jewish people in New York would go for the summer. And so the comedians would go out there and play gigs
like Catskills.
And the Catskills, yeah. That's why they call it the Borscht Belt.
So it's because they serve a lot of borscht?
Presumably, I don't know.
It's like an immigrant term?
Yeah, it's just, Borscht Belt, that's what they call it. But anyway, so I always admired those people. I thought, wow, this would be really cool. But I didn't actually start doing comedy until I was 64 years old.
64?
Yeah, I did not want to peak early. But, I attended a lot of like showcase shows in the United States. I saw Jay Leno and Sam Kinison doing 7 minutes or 10 minutes, but this is in the 80s.
And this was in
Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the United States. And I saw Steve Martin in concert. Now that was an hour and a half show in front of like 2,000 people or something. But
wow.
George Carlin once, when he was working on building up to an HBO special.
So you were somewhat of a super fan.
Yeah, I was a fan. And I remember in college, I made some comment, I'd like to be a stand-up comedian, but I just don't think I'm funny enough. And everybody agreed with me. So, but there just wasn't that many opportunities. So I kind of, it was just a dream for a long time. And I was living in Bangkok, Thailand. There were a few shows there, and I went to all of them.
These are all like expat performing shows, English-speaking shows.
English-speaking expat performers.
Lots of British people, I imagine.
From all over, it was in English, but yeah, British, Australia, a lot of Australians,
people
Americans.
People use Thailand as a
recyclable
resource.
Anyway, so I went to those shows, and like a lot of people, you hear this from almost everybody. They say, "Gee, I can do that." And eventually, I signed up to perform at one.
So you just went right in, old school style, not into a class. Like you're like, let me go sign up to this open mic.
Yeah, right. There were no classes there.
Which is good. I mean, I personally think that the best way to become a comic is to jump on stage and learn as you go and be embarrassed.
Yeah, well, so I asked for a spot at this one show, and the guy said, "Oh, geez, you've been coming so long, I didn't think you were interested." And I said, "Well, I was building up to it." So I said, "How many minutes should I plan on?" And he said, 7 or 8. And I'm like, "What?"
You've been watching the show forever? You didn't know it was 7 or 8 minutes?
Well, no, it wasn't for everybody else. It was like 4 or 5 minutes at most for most. I don't know why he told me that. So now I had a problem to write 7 minutes of material, and I've never used any of those jokes again because they were pretty awful.
I can only.
Yeah, they just, and one part was a skit where I was doing a news broadcast, but a fake news broadcast, or hyper reality TV, which is hilarious if you're my age. People would understand it, because there are a lot of references to cartoons and stuff that nobody knows about anymore. But so I didn't get any laughs, and I was in kind of a blackout, not from drink. I wasn't drinking. I was just an emotional blackout while I did it, so I didn't remember. I came off stage and said, "Well, I guess that must have been 8 minutes." And
I think that happens to many performers.
Oh yeah, it's very common.
I don't remember people laughing until someone else is like, "Ah."
Yeah. Well, Louis Anderson said he had a similar experience when he first went on stage, and a lot of professional comics say that about their early experiences. So that was my start, and then you could only get on stage at most like 3 times a month in Bangkok at that time.
How long ago was this?
This is 2014,
Okay.
and so I signed up, every time I could. And they did have a class, but that was after I had already been on stage a few times. It was very informal, but it was quite useful, like how to hold the microphone and this and that. Anyway,
With your teeth.
yeah, with your teeth, yeah.
Classic.
And so after about 3 times or 4 times on stage, I actually started getting some laughs, and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I think I'll continue with this. And after about 5 or 6 times on stage, I decided to leave Bangkok and move to Berlin, where I knew there were more
So
shows.
you only moved to Berlin in 2015.
15.
All right. And then that's how you found Sunday Slips.
Right, but Sunday Slips I started in December of 2014, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I had been to Berlin. I had been to one show, the Monday Night Mikes.
Uh-huh.
That's where I met Tamika Campbell, and
Right.
so
So that was a rare appearance.
yeah, that was. Well, I didn't know it was rare at the time because I had no idea who any of these people are. But
shout out to Tamika. We can't wait to have you.
So and then I went back to Bangkok and started making plans to move here. And then I moved here in February.
I have a theory you had a secret life in Bangkok that none of us know about.
Well, I've probably had many secret lives at my age. I don't normally talk about myself on stage.
We know, James.
Yeah,
we know.
Well, there's a reason for that.
We feel like we know you as a person, but then at the same time, we're like, nobody knows anything about James.
So anyway, so I moved here in February, like the middle of February of 2015. And I really don't remember exactly when the first time I went to Sunday Slips, but I became aware that it existed, but I thought it had existed for years and I just didn't know about it.
Oh, that's a good thing.
And then it turns out it only existed for a couple of months, and that's why I didn't know about it.
Well, I think that has to do a lot with like the energy that Winter and I bring to the stage, and we came in with that like New York City, New Jersey type of like hustle or vibe. It's shifted a lot through the years. We need to bring some of that back again, and all the characters.
Yeah,
or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, it was a little more eclectic back then. Yeah, more poets and more people doing skit kind of things. And
well, I mean, I was doing a lot more character work.
Yeah.
And also themes. So it was like this Sunday, it's, what is it? Miami Vice themed. Where we had
I remember
Filippo
that,
and Iman as the cops, and chaos everywhere.
So I think the first time we met, or at least were in the same place at the same time, was at Monday Night Mikes. There was like you and Dan Stern and Georg and some other people in the lineup, and I went out and one joke worked, but it killed. It was because the whole audience, half of the audience there were Spanish tourists.
Okay.
So I did the Jesus joke.
And
they burst out laughing hysterically. But the rest of the set was,
Well, you read the room.
Yeah.
In that one joke, at least.
So, and I remember you were on the lineup too. So that's probably where we first met. And then I started going to Sunday Slips every week.
Yeah. It's been a good voyage.
Yeah.
To have you there.
Thanks.
So you like Berlin as a home?
Yes and no.
Okay. Like everyone.
I mean, I describe Berlin as being an event city. You come here because of stuff going on, not because it's a really pleasant place to live necessarily. But so yeah, you know.
But
And I'll also go to the spoken word events too. That was also part of my.
well, speaking about that, you also have more than one book, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
This is your latest one?
Well, that was the first one.
This is the first one. I have this one at home. On Earth as It Is. Don't say heaven.
No.
Tell us a little bit about this book, James.
Well, it's a collection of short stories and poems that I read based on my experiences living in Poland in the 90s and the early 2000s and traveling around Eastern Europe. It's, you know, most of them are humorous and or they're parodies of something and a lot of magical realism. And in fact, my first show at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2018 was based on that book.
Check it out. Are these books still available online or in person?
Yeah,
only?
yeah. It's online. You can get it on Amazon, a Kindle version on Amazon, and a print version on lulu.com.
That sounds like a porn site.
It sounds like a porn site, but it's not.
Check it out. Lulu.com. So, James, how many times have you done Fringe so far?
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah, 2018, 2019.
Which was your best experience?
Probably 2018 because it was my first time there. I didn't really have any expectations particularly. And I was just glad to get a space because there's a lot of competition to get a room and nobody knew who I was. You know, I was nobody. And so I got this room at 10 a.m.
I remember this.
It was called the Wee Room because it's very small. And it was about the size of this stage.
So you had a full house.
Yeah, pretty much almost every day. But I was, you know, passing out flyers was ridiculous because who's going to, at a rainy morning at 9:30, nobody's out.
But you got some guests.
Well, I got a lot of people there because it was the first show on every day. So if somebody used the app, my show came up first.
What was the title of the show that year? Oh, yes.
On Earth as It Is. Yeah.
Don't say heaven.
So, and it attracted an older audience because they were up early. And they'd bring along their teenage sons or daughters or whatever. And so
this was like their bonding experience. And then the kids would go one way and the parents would drink.
Or the kid would want to see it by himself. I played the whole hour once to one teenager or something. His dad dropped him off and
I don't know why it sounds wrong.
Well, maybe it sounds right, but that was actually a pretty good show, you know.
Right.
So
did the teenager come up to you after the show and like say anything when he had a 1 hour solo performance?
Well, a little bit, but he was kind of embarrassed a little bit.
Did you do crowd work?
No.
So you can have a TikTok video of you with one audience.
His dad had given him, he gave him like 20 pounds or something, and he said, make sure, you know, he's doing this whole, and I got like 20 pounds for doing a show for one person.
Aw, what?
That was really, I'm not sure that the father entirely understood that the kid was going to give that much, but yeah, anyway, he did. So
the kid was like, "How do I ask for change? I'm here alone."
Yeah.
Fringe is interesting. I find it torturous and also inspirational, but it is a lot of shows. Did you do every single day?
Yeah,
For 2
every
weeks
single
or
day
a
for
month?
a whole month. 20,
You
24,
did the whole month.
Yeah, 25 days in a row.
Yeah.
I did the same thing in 2018. That one didn't work out as well. That was, part of it was, I had a better time slot, at least what I thought was a better time slot. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. So
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like people are napping at that time. Or
well, it's
exhausted
not so
from
much
the
that. It's just
morning.
that there's a lot more competition at that time.
True.
There's like 4,000 shows at the Fringe, so you know. and and I was in a slightly bigger room and it was a good venue and everything, but there were 3 other performance rooms in there, and all the people who were kind of overlapping me were people who were at least somewhat well-known-ish in the UK. So everybody came to their show, and I got what was left over, if anything. So
were the walls so thin that you could hear the other shows? Because that was part of certain areas of the Fringe.
Yeah, if people were laughing hard enough, you could hear it. But, so that experience wasn't quite so good, but it was a learning experience.
This show is the one that we also did at Poropati.
Right.
Yes, that was wonderful. Where Wynton and I opened up the show for you. I love that. And I think I was dressed as Natasha Bikini off.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant. So my next question is, James, being that you have all this life experience because you're still alive, what would you tell your younger self? I mean, you have had many life paths, careers, changes.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about this. So many things to say, I guess. That's what everybody answers to that question. But one thing is that I would tell myself, don't waste your time trying to impress people whose opinion and value you don't respect.
Bravo. I still need to hear that one regularly. You're speaking to my inner child.
Yeah, so that would be one thing. The other is, I grew up, my parents were products of the Great Depression of the 1930s. And so their whole emphasis was like, get a good education, get a job, and everything will be perfect.
Buy a house.
And, well, I did all those things. Yeah. But it didn't really solve any problems. So I would have just gotten started much earlier on some of the stuff that I'm doing now. Yeah. I always wanted to be a writer, always wanted to be a cartoonist, but of course...
You could still be a cartoonist.
Yeah,
Are you doing cartoons
I'd like to take a class in drawing or something. I've tried that several times, but I just had this trauma from elementary school where the teacher would just ignore all the boys in the class while the girls were there drawing.
Because you were supposed to do math. You were gendered oriented to mathematics.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to learn to draw. I wanted to take home ec because I thought cooking was kind of fun. But it's like, well...
They didn't let you?
Well, I didn't try to take home ec because it just thought, well, nobody's going to want me there or something,
That's where you meet the girlfriend.
Yeah, well... I did take typing. And
I took typing too, but by force, because I went to a Catholic school in Colombia and we had vintage typewriters, and it was back in the 80s. And we were forced to learn to type.
Oh, well, we weren't forced to learn to type. Very few people had typewriters in the 60s where I grew up because they were expensive.
Well, this was the 80s already.
Yeah, so, but I learned to type so I could type my papers, and in large part, I learned to type because my handwriting is so awful that the professor wouldn't be able to read.
Can you type without looking at the letters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ding.
I was #1 in my typing class.
Oh, James, we're going to have to bring a typewriter out. I want to test this skill. I'm going to bring the Sunday slips because I got a typewriter. I do. I'm going to test it. And we'll bring it out.
Well, I haven't actually used a typewriter in years, obviously, but a computer.
It's close enough. I mean, are there different?
No, they're the same layout, but you have to really hit the keys pretty hard unless it's electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. Stupid. So we have a clip to show from you. And I would like to insert the clip here so that you can check out what James Coon has been doing in his comedy career here in Berlin. This clip is from Cosmic Comedy.
Right.
So check it out. Like, comment, share. We're here at Wave.Studios, and we'll be right back after this clip.
Show business, I mean, show business! We're living dangerously here tonight because they usually put me on the first half of these shows here in Berlin because they're afraid that at my age I might die. Before the second the show rolls around, and then yeah, that would just completely mess up the schedule. And this is Germany. We have rules, and one of those rules is thou shalt not mess up the schedule. In fact, there'd be a dead body lying on the floor, and in Berlin, that's not such a problem. In Berlin, a dead body on the floor at a comedy show, that's just some kind of a hipster art project. Could be the beginning of a whole new genre called non-performance art. And more about some of my recent dating experiences later if we have time. So let's have a little fun with the German language. How many people here want to learn German or trying to learn German or have given up trying to learn German? Give me a word. You're my crowd. All right. So now I speak German. I don't speak it terribly well. I studied German in high school because I thought I might have to live in Argentina one day. Instead of I'm in a bunker in Berlin, who knew?
Oh, James, so
Yes.
great clip. Nice opening line. The classic. I do like putting you up early on shows, not because you're near death.
Although I am.
Well, or near your next resurrection.
Next
Easter is
resurrection,
coming up.
yeah.
Or not. Who knows when this airs. But just today, I had a moment with the musicians where your sound bites from your performance pieces were in my head.
Oh.
And it's a very consistent womp, womp,
Oh, yeah.
womp. Where did you get that sound from?
The one, the recorded
Yes,
one? Oh, that's
yes.
my voice. I recorded it at home. In fact, I bought a really nice microphone so I could record this entire book. So this is on YouTube as
As an audiobook?
an audiobook.
With
yeah.
your voice?
Yeah. So,
Bedtime Stories by James Coon.
yeah, I don't think you'd want to listen to most of those right before going to bed, but so I've got a really nice microphone, and I play around with. I use Odyssey or Audacity or whatever that program is called, and I'm a complete amateur at this, but I recorded my own voice,
Great.
and then I manipulated it so that it sounds more generic, just going womp womp womp.
Yeah, that's why I didn't recognize that it was your voice.
Yeah.
But it definitely, when I hear that.
But I put an echo effect on it a little bit, and
You need to record your laugh as well. Have you done that? Because we have all had a reaction to your signature. Ha!
there we go.
We know when you're in the audience right away with that laugh, or
Yeah.
you hear somebody else's video and you hear that one James Coon signature. Ha! Brilliant.
Yeah.
What's next for you? I mean, I think you should really do cartoons. I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah, well, I would like to do that. I was thinking about that recently because there are some comedians. I know a couple of comedians.
Caroline started a comedy
that was the one. Yeah,
strip for a little while.
Yeah, I talked to her about that, but
And her drawings are horrible.
well, yeah. The mistake I made like many, many years ago with the cartoon thing is that I thought I had to actually be able to draw well
Yeah, no,
in
that's what I'm
order
trying
to
to
do it.
reinforce.
But no, and even Doonesbury, which was my favorite,
Badly
is
drawn.
Gary. Well, yeah, that started off as a comic strip called Bull Tales, and it was in the Yale Daily News when I was an undergraduate.
Look at him dropping Yale.
Yeah. Biggest mistake of my life was attending Yale, but anyway, and so I knew about that, and then he called it Doonesbury when it went into the
Okay.
became a syndicated comic strip. So when he was doing it all by himself as an undergraduate, it was pretty crude.
Yeah.
And then he hired somebody to kind of fix it up but it never occurred to me that that was a possibility. So
Well, I think also nowadays when you watch all these new cartoon sitcoms or television, there's a lot of variety in what is uh, drawn or the styles. Some look like a children's drawing, some look extremely AI or like computer animated, or I mean, there's just so many options, and nothing is the right one or the wrong one. It's just whoever you are.
no, that's true. But I like that. There was a comedian who was here,
I know exactly who you're thinking
Peter
about.
Bedgood.
No, maybe not.
Oh, he's an American. He lives in Oklahoma or something. He does comic every day and then posts it and stuff. And then there's Hagla Dodgson.
That's who I was thinking about. 'Cause I
Yeah.
bought one of his prints. I bought 3 of them, the little tiny ones. And look at the drawing. It's 3 lines. I mean,
Yeah, it's very simple.
basically, it's a stick
So
figure.
it's like, okay,
a
maybe I could
tagline.
I have done some caricature kind of drawings, but
Would it be you in a hat?
yeah, that was one of them. But this was years ago, and I showed them to some people, and they thought the comment was basically, "That's
What was
creepy.
that? What was
That's
that?
creepy."
That's creepy. Well, James, we're all a little creepy.
Yeah. Well, it's Berlin.
Yeah. Well, I think I really think that I would love to see a cartoon from you. And I guess we have to keep taking our own advice from the past
From
into
the
the
past,
present
yeah,
and bring
yeah.
it through.
Well, the other thing I'd like to do is, I'd like to do another solo show. I was thinking of starting a show that is a comedy show, but not stand up, not improv, but
I'm listening.
skits and
Oh, nice.
things like like
So,
George Carlin used to do that. Al Sleet, the hippy
Yeah.
dippy weatherman, and
But that takes a little bit of writing and also a
Yeah.
little bit of rehearsing, or at least a one-time meetup with a like a read through.
well, not necessarily. I mean, there was a show that was a little bit like that in Berlin, and I thought it was one of the best shows in town.
Which show was this?
It was called the Queen's Court. It was at CCB.
Oh yeah,
But that was more of an open mic, and
Yeah.
people just came up with an idea and showed up.
yes, exactly.
So, but this would be a little more organized than that, I guess you could say. But it'd basically be a curated open mic.
That's lovely. You should run your own night. I mean, you've been doing it long enough here in Berlin, and you're definitely unique. But I mean, your voice is different than most of ours, so there's a perspective there that's needed and appreciated.
Yeah, someone recently suggested that I should do voiceovers for cartoons.
The word cartoon keeps coming up.
Yeah,
James.
it keeps coming up.
One way or another, you might just be involved in cartoons.
Could
Have
be.
you thought about doing voiceover work?
No, I'd never thought of it because I think I have this terrible voice.
But
I sound like Sean Wallace.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he's an actor, kind of a character actor.
Okay.
He was the guy in My Dinner with Andre. The kind of little bald guy, and everybody tells me that my voice is a lot like his. But anyway, we'll see.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you, James Coon, for being with us today. I want to let everyone know that we're here every single week at Slippery People here in the Wave Dots YouTube channel. We appreciate your support. If you like us, please give us a little review, thumbs up, 5 stars. I don't know how it works, but it's all about you, that we keep growing and going and bringing you more talented people. This is James Coon. I'm Liliana Velasquez, and we'll see you next week.